Welcome, everyone. I'm here with Cassian Roberts, fine artist extraordinaire and sculptor, an old friend from school, and honestly, one of my favorite artists. This is the Free Arts Magazine interview, and I'm here to show you guys the ins and outs of the art world. Cassian, will you open us up with an introduction of who you are, where you're from, and what you do?
Sure. So I'm Cassian. I am, as you said, I'm a sculptor. I went to Michaelis back in the day with you, yeah, in a time long ago. I have a couple of studios since then. I do exhibitions as often as I can, art fairs as often as I'm able. Yeah, it's been a good time. I work mostly with bronze, do figurative sculpture, and I love clay, and I love the human form, and that's me.
All right, fair, man. I actually wanted to ask, what first inspired you to pursue art, and how's your style evolved since then?
So I think my journey with art started a very long time ago, probably like grade four. That's when I was like, oh, this is pretty fun. I could do this. And then that sort of developed further. And I was like, okay, well, this is the only thing I can do. So this is the only thing that makes me happy. So let me do that. And then it was only in grade 10 or so that I started to explore sculpture. And then I was like, oh, damn, this is where it's at. Like, this is the shit. And then I was like, okay, I found my medium. This is brilliant. In grade 10, I met Jean Doyle, and she taught me how to sculpt. And that was incredible. Um, yeah, and I was like, this is what I'll do for the rest of my life. And then obviously it was like, okay, where can I pursue this? And then, I mean, Michaelis was the first place that came to mind. And yeah, and then I went there. And I think my style's evolved a lot. Michaelis taught me a lot about thinking about art, and that was useful, regardless of like the other the other things about Michaelis. But they did teach you how to think about art, and I did appreciate that. It did evolve my style quite a lot, uh, and yeah, it was. I mean, it was useful, um, and I
Like,
think my art is better off because of it. But yeah, it was a tough journey. I'm not going to pretend it was easy. It was rough.
hey, nothing good comes
And
easy,
yeah,
man. Nothing good ever comes easy.
that's true.
How has
That's true.
your background influenced your artistic perspective? Like, you make a lot of sculptures of people, sometimes technological objects, but where does that come from?
So I do a lot of overplay, like overlap between connection and technology. So human interaction and how technology might change that or interact with that. I think I don't know, I've always found relationships interesting. Um, I've always found technology interesting. And I think how people change when you talk to them on different platforms or through different mediums, I found that quite interesting. So, how people might interact with you differently if they're talking to you on Instagram versus if you phone them or if you're WhatsApping, whatever. I find that quite an interesting thing. It's almost like when you speak to people in different languages, they'll communicate with you slightly differently, just depending on the language and how they relate to their language. And I feel like technology is the same. And yeah, I find that quite fascinating.
Right.
So I think as far as an emotional look into technology, um, it's quite an interesting topic. Um, yeah, it's not
Yeah,
necessarily how my art reflects what I'm thinking, but I'm trying.
yeah, you're getting there. At
Yeah,
least there's a kind of organic
so I
relationship
think that's what I
happening.
find interesting. Yeah,
Ah, I wonder, actually,
yeah,
now that we're in
yeah.
the
I'm trying
era
to let
of,
it evolve. I'm not trying to push it. I'm just trying to let it evolve and see.
that's fair, man. In the era of AI and all these kind of new technologies, how do you really try or see your work changing or adapting? Because now it's very abstract to really distinguish AI from human consciousness and the way we're moving with robots and drones and what have you. It feels like they're becoming one and the same or different sides of the same coin. What do you think?
So I mean, obviously, AI and art is a very interesting topic. There's a lot to talk about on it. Personally, I'm not really worried. I don't think it will impact. Oh, I mean, look, I don't know how it'll impact, but I don't think it'll impact handmade art in the same way the camera didn't destroy portrait painting. It just, or like picture painting, it just changed. The industry will grow and change, but human made art with human hands will always have a place. It Industries might change, like concept arts and all of that. Definitely, they should be worried about AI, but I think it's a tool that you can use regardless. I know obviously the privacy issue and all sort of the copyright and content, that's its own legal battle thing. But as far as I'm concerned about how AI will impact art, I think you can just use it as a tool. If it helps you generate ideas and concepts, use it, go wild. But yeah, people will always value handmade art. And I mean, artists have been cheating around having to make things with their hands for generations. Like, this is nothing new. Half the
Tell
art
me
you
about it.
see isn't made by hands anyway. And people still buy that. But the stuff that is made and is valued for its own reasons. And I don't think AI is going to change that.
No, that's a hopeful perspective. Means that there's still a place in the world for art, even though it's a very pivotal moment for art.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right.
I think it'll allow for a lot of growth in a very short space of time, which I think is cool.
That's
Yeah.
fair. Hey man, here's a question. What about your biggest influences and how they've shaped your work? Like as artists or moments per se?
Yo, my biggest influences, probably Jane would be my biggest influence. She's the whole reason I went to Michaelis in the first place. And then having her as my supervisor in third and fourth year,
She was great actually.
nothing like that experience. She was great. I mean, I was, yo, I was ready. By the end of second year, I was ready to be like, nah, let's call this quits. Like, Michaelis is not for me. No one likes my stuff. I don't want to be
Mm.
abstract. I don't want to be conceptual artist in that sense.
Yeah,
Besides, like
that's how
my
you
work must be
felt.
rooted in technical form first.
Yeah, that's how you felt I was down.
Yeah. Um, I don't know what you mean, bro. But yeah, meeting Jane was like the saving grace. I was like, oh my gosh, this is amazing. Finally, someone who is encouraging me to do what I want to do. And that was incredible. So I would put her at the top. Um, yeah, also, I mean, her work is just insane. The level of detail, the level of technical skill is just incredible. It's, yeah, hands
Mm.
down, biggest influence. Yeah.
It was nice seeing her work when I came back to Cape Town. And thus the context, the environment, and I guess the community influence it has. It really shows how that kind of work reflects her time and her experiences, but inspires others to pursue their contemporary context and their experiences in their art.
Definitely. Yeah,
Hmm.
no, definitely.
Can we ask about your art? Like, I guess, what was a moment that you were like, professionally speaking, not academically, where you actually felt inspired by your own work?
That's a cool question. I like that. Um, I like that.
No problem.
So often with the pieces I make, um, well, obviously in university, there's only like one or two pieces that I really like. The other ones, I'll make them, I like them. Then after a few months, I'm like, like, yeah, I've grown, I've changed. It's not speaking to me in the same way. And I think that's good because you must always look back on your old work and think, I could improve this here. Then there's a couple of pieces that stand out, and those ones are sort of like where I'm like, oh, okay, should I do this again? Or maybe I should do this again.
So, Cassie, how does your work inspire you?
Sorry, ask again.
How does your work inspire you?
Yeah, how does yeah, very, very cool question. A couple of my pieces over time I've sort of grown out of. I liked them for a while, and then I was like, nah, they can be better. And I think that's a good growth sign as an artist, where you look back at your old works and you think, I mean, you did the best you could for the time and the skill that you had back then, but you've grown, you've changed. There are ideas and concepts that were in those pieces that could be developed better. I find that inspiring because it shows growth. Then there's a couple of pieces that stand out as like pieces that I still look at now and I'm like, cool, I did a good job on those. Like I really like those pieces. So I think one of the pieces that inspires me is the that TV headed figure, the abdication of identity. Like that piece, it was my first large scale bronze. I carved it. So first I carved it in Crete stone, and then made a mold, obviously, and then cast into bronze. And it was the first bronze that I sold to a big time collector, and that was quite a pinnacle moment for me. I was like, okay, cool. People like, yeah, big collectors actually want my work. That was a big moment. So I was like, cool. It gave me a lot of inspiration to continue down the bronze path and to do sort of large scale figures. So I think that was a big inspiration. Um, then sort of the next inspiration would be I started to sculpt from life. And that was a big shift and a big change in my work. And the pieces that came out of that work inspire me, just because of like the sheer amount of work I had to put into them, and then obviously like the reception they received. It showed me that I was heading in the right direction. I look at those pieces, especially the early ones. I look at them. I'm like, yo, I can do it much better now. But when I did those, I was like, wow, this is cool. That yeah, when I always keep them around just to see them. Yeah.
Oh man, that's pretty cool. So how do you stay motivated to keep making art? You've been doing this for a while. You're still pushing, and life can be uncertain.
um,
So how do
yeah,
you
no, that's for sure.
so how do you keep
I
going?
think, I mean, like it's yeah. How do I keep motivated? A good question. I think it's more of like an itch. Like if I don't create art, like if a month goes by and I don't create art, then I'm just the worst person to be around. Like I am not having a good time. So if I'm not in the studio every now and then doing a piece of art, like yo, I get grumpy. I get like it's not nice. And then the other thing that keeps me motivated is I have Douglas, who's another huge inspiration for my work and like one of the coolest people I've ever met. He runs a life sculpting class in Salt River, and he will always hit me up and be like, "Yo, we have a model who's keen to sit for the next week. Come and sculpt." And I'm like, "All right." Like I've got 50 billion things happening, but I will make time no matter what to be at those sculpting classes because
Hmm.
those are the best things on the face of the planet. Yeah. So I
Oh,
think, yeah, motivation has its place, but just practice no matter what you're feeling. That's where you really improve.
yeah.
Um,
That's fair. That's practicing good faith. To do it just because you love it, plain and simple.
yeah.
And I think it's rare to hear that these days. Or maybe it's because I'm in a different industry now. Everyone's talking about I need the money, which is fair. But to see people just love it and genuinely enjoy what they're doing, it's just always healthy. It's holistic.
Yeah.
Are there any like recurring themes in your work that people may miss when they see it?
Obviously, human form would be a big reoccurring thing. I like to sculpt people and recognizable people. Then, sort of an integration with a rock type substrate. It's like a reference to sort of the plastic age and technology. That's pretty strong in all of my work. And then I like to do stuff with the faces, just because I feel like that's the biggest point of contact whenever you look at a piece of art. If there's a face, you immediately look at it. So if you can sort of disrupt the face, then you can take away some of its direct meaning and leave it a bit more open to interpretation. So a lot of pieces I try to disrupt the face because then I feel like I'm telling the viewer too much if I have an expression or if I have a specific type of face. It immediately makes it relate specifically to a certain type of people, or people might read into it in different ways because of the facial features. And I feel like that's not necessarily where my meaning is. It's more in the sort of the holistic figure, and what it's doing and how it's interacting with the technology. So obviously, I have done a lot with faces, just because it's also good to practice sculpting faces. They're flippant difficult. But yeah, the ones that I'm doing now that I quite like, I've started to disrupt the face more and more.
All right, that's fair.
True.
And we're back. Sorry for the technical difficulties. We're still trying to push. But Cassie, back to you. I want to ask a question so people can know the, I guess, the business side of it. Because it's very easy to look at artists on TV and on internet, especially social media now, and see a painting worth 1 million likes. But what is the value of that? What does it really mean? Like, how does the art business function? Especially now with social media playing a huge role. Because it's changed, right? It's not the same anymore. And you're not someone who necessarily has or needs a large presence. So I want to see how those two worlds can conflict or complement each other.
I think obviously social media, yeah, it plays a huge part. It plays a huge role. You don't necessarily need a huge following. It also doesn't necessarily translate into sales. People can be blowing up on Instagram, but no one is. They're just sort of viral. No one's buying their work. It's just they like looking at it. And but obviously the reverse is true as well. It can't hurt basically
Hmm.
to grow that Instagram platform or whatever. It doesn't hurt to have a big following. The more exposure you can get, the more sales that will hopefully lead to. But it's not always the case. I think I use Instagram more as it's very useful when it comes to pitches. So if you're in a, I mean, you have to go to a lot of gallery openings. You have to do the art thing. You've got to go to gallery openings. You've got to go to weird exhibitions in the middle of nowhere. You've got to stay afterwards and chat to people. That's the key bit, is to chat to people. And if you have an Instagram that looks professional, has all your work on it, in it, like invariably when you're chatting to someone new, it comes up, what's your Instagram handle, let me check it out. And it's like the quickest way to have a concise portfolio that they can view really easily and get a sense of your art, get a sense of what the work you do looks like. So it's very helpful in continuing the conversation. And then obviously you get names, because once you have chatted to someone at the exhibition or whatever, you need to follow up, even if it's like a couple of days later. Like, you must always follow up, even if it's just a sup, it was nice to see you. You need to sort of be a name that people will remember, and the only way you're going to do that is if you keep talking to the person, and then you keep going to. um, I think I lost you again. Oh, you're back. Cool. Yeah, so you definitely need to have a professional looking pull up and show people. Yeah, I mean, there's also curators, there's galleries, they're all on Instagram. You'll be amazed at how many curators prowl Instagram looking for artists. Like, I know a few, and it's always, it can't hurt to have a good Instagram account. Yeah.
Hmm. That's a new perspective. Yeah, the world is changing. They didn't teach us this stuff at school, and we just have to figure it out
No, bro.
in real time. I mean, we all know Instagram
Yeah.
is changing the world, but to that degree of what you just said, it's like, damn, I never took it that seriously. Or at the very least, I didn't think it'd be that important. So that like curators are just scrolling through looking for the next big thing. Huh. Live and you learn. Live and you learn.
They literally do, dude. They literally do.
Are there any projects or collabs you're working on right now that you want to tell us about?
So there are some. I can't speak about all of them. Um, but I think big projects. Let's. There's hopefully, yeah. There's hopefully, I want to do a life size bronze within the next 2 years. That's sort of my goal. I think life size is a size I've been trying to get into. It's extremely difficult just from a financial perspective. It's insane. So it's going to be quite a risk. Um, and I'm not quite sure how it'll work yet, but that's my goal. Um, yeah, I think from collabs, I can't really talk about them, but yeah, there's some interesting ones coming up very soon. Um, that will be exciting.
Nope,
But
that'll
yeah,
be
I think mainly from a project base, and then the other thing is to just to create more like bronze finished sculptures. Yeah, that's sort of my big projects, my goals.
that's good. Hope to see your work in the future. Seeing your stuff at Turbine and here in Melrose Gallery, which is really cool. But here's a question. How would you define success? You seem like you've been doing a lot of work and you're getting around, exhibiting from Joburg to Cape Town. That's pretty cool. But that's not everything, right?
I would describe success as being able to do the art you want to do without having to worry about selling it.
Really?
Yeah, that would be my, when I can do that, that would be my form of success.
Aren't you doing that now?
Sort of, yeah.
Yeah, one step at a time, one step at a time.
But I still have to side hustle, okay? There's
Hey,
a lot of side hustle.
we're still
There's a
early in
lot of
the
side hustle,
game.
bro. If
Still
I can
early in the
not do that,
game.
yeah, we're still early. We're
Man,
still early in the game,
in the
bro.
first half, bro. Don't worry about it. But it looks like you're
In the first half.
pushing. You're pushing,
Yeah.
taking advantage of all the opportunities. And hell, I've seen your studio. Pretty interesting. And you're with those old classmates, which is another layer to it, really. Maybe this whole art thing is about being holistic as
Yeah.
opposed to being successful and famous, right? I mean, art
Yeah,
isn't.
you got to maintain the community.
No.
Like the community is where it's at. Yeah.
All right, man, that's fair. I guess here's my last question for you. What do you hope people walk away with when they see your art? A feeling, a thought, a new piece of work? You never know.
That's a cool question. I like that. I think when people look at my art, I want them. Obviously, I put a lot of value in technical skill because that's what I like in other people's work. It's also what I like in mine. So first off, I want them to look at the work and be like, "Whoa, did a human hand make that? Amazing." That's that's my yeah. That's what I want people to think. And then I want them. I always want it to be interesting. So I want them to be able to look at the artwork and notice something each time. I don't. Yeah, I think that's so the connection to technology and the meaning behind the work is quite subtle in most of the pieces, and I like that it's subtle because if you look at it first, you think, "Cool, that's a nice sculpture of a person," but then to the person who takes the time to look a little deeper, read a little bit of something, then the full meaning comes out, and they're like, "Oh, okay, that's interesting." And I think that oh moment, that's what I want them to feel. But only the people who are willing to put the time in and engage with the work.
Yeah, that's fair. And your work is very detail oriented, so there's a lot there for them to go through. And it's done by hand,
Yeah.
actually. So it's still crazy. I've seen you make the stuff by hand, but it doesn't process in my head that it was done by hand. If you guys ever get a chance to see his work, it's so detail oriented to the point you actually ask yourself, did this guy really do it? In between lectures and assignments, was he really there for how many hours sculpting with his hand? Uh, okay, so yeah.
That's the goal.
Yeah, you're achieving it. You're achieving it. Is there anything you want to say? Any last remarks?
Sure, sure. I mean, thanks for the interview, dude. I really appreciate it. It was a fun time. And you must come back to Cape Town, man. It's
Well,
where it's at.
when the time is right, oh, my money's back up again.
The time is right.
But right now, it's good just to go back and visit people, see what people are doing, see how we've grown. I can appreciate the growth and the change, and I can
Yeah.
appreciate how everyone's careers are taking off. Some people stop doing art, are doing tattoos now. Other people have ventured off into foreign opportunities in other countries. You feel me? And then there's me who's just doing
Yeah.
a podcast here, trying to figure it out. Because I love entertainment and I love art, and I want to bring the two worlds together. I just feel like art needs that kind of space in the entertainment industry, and the entertainment industry needs real artists, not disrespecting all the singers, dancers, and whoever's out there. But like, let's have a Picasso, bro. Let's have a Michelangelo. Let's have a Cassie in the mix. We also work hard. Let's do this. And hey, then the money we're making, the money we're putting into making this art needs to be seen. Cause fuck, this industry is it's cutthroat and it's hard, but it's so rewarding when you get it right, or you feel
Yeah,
fulfilled. Oh man.
yeah. The highs are really high. The lows are really low.
Trust. School taught me that. School taught all of us that. Oh man. But thanks for this, man. I really appreciate your time. With all the technical difficulties, we still made it work. And I hope people walk away with insight into what it really means to be an artist. So the next kid who's in grade 10 who wants to figure out what he wants to do can look back and be like, damn, I want to be just like him. I want to be just like him.
Oh gosh. Thanks for the interview, man. Thanks so much.
This is Lou signing out. Thanks to everyone who spent time with us, and see you next time. Peace.
Cheers, man. Bye bye. Bye.
How do I stop recording this thing?